Every city tells a story of ambition, decay, or rebirth. Some streets whisper memories of what they once were, others pulse with the energy of what they have become. Urban renewal isn't just construction, it's a resurrection. It's the act of finding life in the forgotten, of turning concrete tiles into canvases for a new generation. Welcome to the Architect's Palette today. My name is Agathachristie Irabor, and we will be focusing on urban renewal. If you are joining us, this is the Architect's Palette. If you have come across this video now, you can share, help us to share, like, and leave a comment. So we'll all learn, and even other listeners will learn along with us. And today we explore the colors of urban renewal, where architecture becomes the brush to paint a city's second life. Just a brief history of what urban renewal will be for many people listening now. They probably already know what urban renewal is. And for those who really don't, just give you a brief synopsis of what it is. After the wars of the 20th century, cities around the world faced a reckoning. Neighborhood crumbled, industries vanished, population shifted, the rural-urban migrations for a better life. In response, governments and planners began to renew, demolishing the old to make way for the new. But too often, these renewals came at a cost. Communities were displaced, histories were erased, and textures of cities lost. Today, urban renewal means something different. It's no longer about replacing, it's about reviving. It's about reusing what we have, respecting the past, and reimagining how cities can serve people, not just for vehicles and for skylines. People. The key word here is people. Urban renewal, any urban renewal effort that does not serve a people may very well not be termed urban renewal. Renewal now is a philosophy, a way to heal the urban fabric instead of tearing it apart. So, one of the major reasons why I brought this topic today is to call to attention some of the renewal practices going on in our cities. Where people buy up new old lands, old houses, and tear them down, even without recourse to the history that surrounds either the neighborhood or such buildings. And today, we understand that urban renewal isn't really about tearing down. We can renew those environments that may be old or maybe needing some a facelift and all of that, not tearing it down. I made a post on the professional platform LinkedIn the other day about the Kuti's house in the southwest of Nigeria, where the government of the day actually preserved the the building where the family had lived into a museum for the family. I think it is time for for government, for planners and architects to rise up and bring this to the fore, because we can't very well be tearing down our historic structures, historic houses, and all of that in the name of urban renewal. If we continue on this path, we as a people will lose so much of our history. And then what do we have to show as planners, as architects who have lived through this generation? The generation that came before us left so much for us to be able to appreciate, build on, and then even reconstruct. So I hope government uh, agencies who are in charge of a new renewal in our cities are listening. It is high time that we actually pinpoint when a plot moves from one plot owner to the other, or a house moves from one house owner to the other. We need to understand that there are certain aspects of our history that needs to be preserved, especially in Nigeria. It's a trend that runs across literally every state in the federation. I remember one of the most beautiful old houses of the, I think, the 19th century, early 19th century, somewhere in the plateau around the terminus axis. Um, a beautiful building with really nice, intricate designs on the walls. Large building, just taking up a wide part of a huge roundabout. Someone bought it over, and the next thing we knew, they were tearing down that building. It was so bad. I think we should rise up to the occasion and make the best, really best, out of what urban renewal really is. As urban renewal isn't just about tearing down, it is also about refitting, retrofitting, and bringing some of these historic old parts of our built environment back to life. I would look at a city like New York. In New York City, an abandoned rail line once stretched above the streets, a steel skeleton left to rust. But instead of dismantling it, this is what designers did. Designers saw the potentials of that rail. The High Line became an elevated park, a ribbon of green weaving through the glass and bricks. It reconnected neighborhoods, redefined public space, and inspired cities around the world to see beauty in what once was obsolete. So you can see the planners in New York didn't just bring down the structure of the high rail lines. They simply redesigned it. And I understand that over the years, I think um, I don't know whether it's within a period of a month or a year, about 8 million, uh, 8 million people walk across that line, and it's a very good tourist place for New York City right now. The High Line is a proof that renewal doesn't always mean rebuilding. Sometimes it means reseeing. And then the other um, example I want to give also, it's somewhere in Spain, in Bilbao, Spain. In the 1900s, Bilbao was a fading industrial city, scarred by economic collapse. Then came a bold gesture, an idea wrapped in titanium, if you will, the Guggenheim Museum, designed by the legendary architect Frank Lloyd Wright, an American, a great man, one of my motivators, rose from the riverbank like a sculpted wave, and with it, a city rediscovered its identity. What followed was more than tourism and investment. You may want to look that up. After that building came up, a whole lot of activities in Bilbao became came back to life. And as I speak to you today, it's one of the major tourist towns in Spain. It was pride. Architecture became the spark that reignited Bilbao's spirit, a reminder that design can be both cultural, catalyst, and a civic revival. I'll say that again. This was a reminder that design can be both cultural, a catalyst, and a civic revival. Instead of tearing down our cities, especially in Nigeria, and in Nigeria specifically, we should look for ways of, gathering all our areas where we want to do renewals, move our renewal thinking caps over to those areas and renew them instead of tearing them down. And half a world away, renewal takes another meaning also. Somewhere in Singapore, architects designed the Kampung Admiralty, a vertical village where generations live, gather and care for each other. That space was like a slum area that architects came and then had a vertical city. We for many may have visited the Kampong Admiralty. It's like a town, a village, an upward village, you know, which the planners and the city councils and all of that bought into. And in that Admiralty, you have homes, you have gardens, you have clinics, markets, all stuck in harmony, framed by living greens. So it's green, it's a sustainable environment, and here renewal isn't about recovering from decay. It's about um, designing for longevity. That city is such that when you get in there, the air is good, the environment, the ambience, it's really nice. For those listening, anytime you're in Singapore, try and visit that the Kampong Admiralty. It's a place to see. It's a place to be loved, to behold. It's a blueprint of how urban life can grow older gracefully, staying connected even above as cities evolved. You know, I also noticed that in China, literally all the cities that I've been to in China, they also have adopted that this urban renewal value of taking slum areas and making them into vertical cities where literally everything works. They have all the amenities that the people who are living in there work works in a vertical um, environment. So I encourage us that instead of tearing down our cities, tearing down our buildings, now even if we are tearing down, we tear down in a way that it is sustainable. You don't tear down a three-story building that has been there for over a century, and then you now put up a duplex. It just doesn't make sense. Utilize it in such a way that even with the population growth, it can be beneficial to us all as citizens of the country. And the beauty of it is that urban renewal, while we look at the negatives that is happening in our country and in our continent, Africa, we also have cities that have embraced proper urban renewal methods. And some of them are things that we can see. For instance, I keep going back to the Eco Atlantic City in Nigeria, where a 9 kilometer mega project in Lagos is designed to provide residential accommodation for up to 500,000 people, office towers, workplaces. It features high-tech infrastructure, waste management, and surface water drainage system, which are one of the key areas where, when you're talking about urban renewal, you have to take into consideration. And also, if you want your environment to be sustainable and smart, some of these areas are where you look at. In Kigali, I must give kudos to Kigali, Rwanda. Rwanda has embraced real urban renewal ethics. The last time I was there, Literally everywhere I went was they had embraced renewal of their systems, keeping memories of what has happened in the past, to remind the citizenry that there are certain areas where they don't want to go back to, like the genocide that happened. They have memorials nicely done and all of that in different parts of the the country, in the city itself where I was privileged to I've been privileged to visit. And then you look at the term old infrastructure, like old schools to environments where people come to have communal interactions and all of that. The city has undergone remarkable changes through modernization, including the rejuvenation of commercial areas, buildings of new businesses, and quality infrastructure. The Gahanga Health Center is an example of a sustainable urban development featuring rainwater harvesting tanks and energy efficient lighting. Kudos. Durban in South Africa, the Sea Land Sea Velo and Transformative Riverine Management Initiative have improved local streams and rivers by removing solid waste from the river and invasive plants, reducing flood risks to the entire environment. The Green Corridors project provides youth training and development programs as well as eco tourism opportunity. Beautiful. Areas where we think, okay, maybe there are dump styles, dump places, and all of that can be renewed, designed and renewed to to serve the communities where those areas are in. Cape Town, for example, in South Africa, the N1 City Mall features a digester that processes food. A waste digester that processes food, waste from grocery shops and restaurants, turning it into a methane gas and fertilizer. Beautiful. The city's area renewal strategy aims to stimulate economic growth and improve the quality of life for the resident. Perfect. In Johannesburg, again, the inner city revitalization project involves a Aru 1.2 billion redevelopment of a 40 meter square area, which will include a new project, a new precinct with a school, clinic, and residential spaces. I would love to see that when it happens. In Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, the city is undergoing rapid urbanization transformation with infrastructure development projects, including the construction of new roads and upgrading dilapidated ones. The Urban Corridor Development Project aims to modernize the city's central parts. Back home in Nigeria, in Port Harcourt, the Eco Village project provides low cost, energy efficient housing with solar panels offering a sustainable solution for families. Beautiful place to be. If you have not been, try and go there. Serene, very serene environment, nice ambience, and all of that. Breathable air. In a place like Port Harcourt, that place is just an enclave. So if we can, as a people, as professionals, rise up to the occasion and, advise, even when projects come to us, we also try to advise clients, advise government, and even policymakers to gyrate towards renewal instead of, bringing down and doing new buildings. In Accra, localized on-site toilet waste digesters have been developed and tested to reduce waterway contamination. That's a perfect way of handling it because in even some big cities across Africa, some of the countries I've been to, you realize that waste management is still a very serious problem. where a lot still needs to be done regarding that. This project demonstrates the diverse approaches to urban renewal in Africa, and indeed the entire world, focusing on sustainability, infrastructure development, and improving the quality of life of residents. I will at this moment say, if you're listening to this and this makes sense to you, please kindly share this. Also like and leave a comment. Leave a comment as to what is actually happening in your own city. Are there any urban renewal initiatives that are ongoing right now? Are there any areas where you think the authorities and planners, architects, and all of that should view, channel their eyes to, in order to handle the dilapidated environment in order to renew it? That will help, so that those who come across this video might also have a picture of what that you can do that, and possibly post pictures, if you will. Beneath every building lies a heartbeat. The people who handle it. Urban renewal succeeds when we all wall anew. So we breathe in new life into environments where we want to be renewed. But from this segment today, if you haven't gotten anything, you would have listened to the fact that a repurposed warehouse became a cultural hub. A derelict street became a garden. A forgotten corner became a gathering space. That could be an area near you or where you live. Renewal then is not an act of design alone. Renewal is not an act of design alone. It's an act of empathy. It asks the question, who belongs where? And whose stories are we preserving? And how can architecture serve the soul of a city, not just a skyline? So what am I saying? We shouldn't always think of the gigantic buildings that we are going to, design and build and all of that. We should also think of history that has come before us. Because truth be told, it is our history that has actually made us. It's what has happened in the past that has actually brought us to this present day. So we must learn as architects, as professionals, as planners, as policymakers to preserve what we made. As architects, planners, and developers, we should always remember that the city, like any masterpiece, is never truly finished. Every brush line, every plane, every restoration adds color to its living camera. Urban renewal reminds us of that beauty. Of urban renewal reminds us that beauty can rise from neglect, that progress can grow from preservation, and that design at its best is an act of continuity. Because in the architect's palette, renewal is not just the end of something old, it's the beginning of something alive. Finally, while urban renewal is critical and great, urban renewal is critical and great, as Africans, let's not lose our history. This is an appeal to all Africans listening to this. Let's not lose our history at the altar of urban renewal. Preserve your history. Wherever you find yourself, policy makers, architects, planners, preserve your history. Do not destroy your history. No other person will preserve your history for you except yourselves. Our history will be preserved by ourselves. Thank you very much for listening. This is the Architect's Palette. Kindly share if this has made meaning to you. Share. Leave a comment. Leave a comment. And then like. Thank you once again for listening to this session. When we meet on the other side of the next episode. Thank you for watching. Bye and God bless.